I've known both Lynn and Mike for quite a long time, and they have a very common path in terms of a lot of work around human exploration on our major missions, as well as working with our international partners. As a starting point to talk about your careers, I'd like to ask from Lynn, your standpoint, you started as a co-op at NASA, and you've had an interesting career path in doing just about everything, it seems, at NASA. Can you talk a little bit about how you got started and how you mapped out and worked your career?
Right. Well, I came in, actually came in just for what was supposed to be a 3-month assignment. I was a French language major at East Carolina University, and the chairman of the language department called and asked if I would like to go to work at NASA because they had a co-op opening in the International Affairs Office. So I came in for 3 months. And bottom line is I just got so fascinated with the work, I decided to completely reorient my career, and I wanted to come back to NASA a second time, so I went back to school, crammed in every last course I could so that I could come back for a second co-op term. And when I finished that co-op term, I converted to full-time permanent. So I turned that 3-month assignment into what's now a 35-year career. And along the way, I guess the main lesson I learned is I didn't really map out my career very well myself, because whatever job I thought was my next logical move turned out to be wrong. Mostly I got recruited by management or offered an opportunity to go in a different direction that I personally hadn't been considering. So, for example, I was working on space and earth science, very happy doing that, negotiating agreements, and I got a new boss who came in and said, "Lynn, I'm putting you in charge of our relationship with Russia, and I want you to lead the negotiations for the space station program." I was ready to, I actually had applied to become our NASA European rep in Paris, which for many years was my dream job, and my boss came and asked me to withdraw my application and please become his deputy instead, in charge of external relations. And then I was recruited by what was then the Office of Space Flight to come down and head their policy and planning group. And when I went in to talk to Bill Reedy to accept that job, he said, "I've changed my mind. I want you to be my deputy instead." So that's kind of how my career went.
So you had plans, but they always went in different directions.
Yes.
And Mike, what about you?
I was the stereotypical space cadet kid that somehow stumbled into engineering through the science and math kind of gateways. I also was the kid who tended to take all of my toys and things apart and occasionally get them back together. But I also became fascinated with the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs as I was growing up. So I decided I was going to go work in the space program, having absolutely no clue how to do it, but get a bachelor's of aerospace engineering degree from Notre Dame, and then just happened to stumble into the hiring when particularly JSC was getting ready to fly shuttle. So I started at JSC in 1978, which was at that time we said a year away from launch, and then it continued to be a year away from launch. But I spent my first almost 10 years at JSC working in mission control. Like Lynn, I can't say that all of my career choices have been choices. I think I fit in the non-conventional kind of career path that doing things that are kind of new and different for the agency, I tend to have moves just made. And so at the time of Challenger, when President Reagan decided we were no longer going to deploy commercial satellites from the space shuttle, that's exactly what I was doing. In fact, my title was section head of the commercial payload operations section. So that spoke to a career move that wasn't exactly planned. And then I was recruited to come to the Space Station Freedom Program office in Reston. And after about 6 years, the agency decided that they wanted to go in another direction. But by that time, we had decided we were Virginians, not Texans, and so we stayed in the Washington area, and I have worked since at headquarters. So things just seem to happen, and generally there's a lot of fascinating things to do at NASA, so they seem to work out.